All right, what is up? Welcome to Ty's Take Today Live. I go by the name of the Tyler Belts. We do this each and every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Currently streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch. And we have a packed show for you all today. Joining us later on in the show, we have two guests, an author and a music artist. And we are going to premiere a holiday single by one of our guests. So that is what you can all look forward to later on in today's stream. Also, real quick, for those of you that may be new and may not be following us on social media, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys our social medias real quick. You can follow us on Instagram at It's Ty's Take Today. Facebook.com, of course, is the same at It's Ty's Take Today. And then also, be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you haven't already, as we continue to grow and build our following and audience. Each view makes a difference, and we appreciate you. And of course, want you to become a part of our Taker family. So hit that subscribe button. Also available on Spotify if you prefer to listen to us on there. And without further ado, I'm going to actually go ahead and add our first guest to the stream. And we're going to learn more about his latest book called Verses of Life and his journey as an artist and challenges that he has overcome and obstacles. So welcome our first guest of the night. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone.
Absolutely. So joining us right now is author Malcolm Alexander Neal. I want to go ahead and dive in and just share a little bit more about you for those that may not be familiar with you and how you really what truly inspired you to start a career as an author.
Yeah, it goes back to my childhood. When I was around 5 or 6 years old, I was raised by my grandparents, and I was always in folks' business when I was growing up and listening to grown people talk. And who helped raise me was my auntie, and she's a poet herself. And so sometimes after school, when she would pick me up, she would help me write poems. And around second grade, I entered this competition and wrote a poem where I actually won the Detroit-wide competition in the Detroit News Press. And so when I won that competition, it just boosted confidence in me, and I started having like a small collection of poems. But then it kind of just stopped. Life got in the way, started focusing on school, had an accounting career. And this last year passed as I traveled more and kind of been reflective on life. I thought I used to love writing poetry, and I started scribbling down some ideas. And over the course of this year, one poem and one idea turned into a huge book. And I just didn't stop after I started, and finally kind of fulfilled that childhood passion.
Absolutely. And I know the entire book, there's different lessons and experiences that you've lived. Are there any particular verses or themes in the book overall that really truly hold a significant and meaningful moment to you?
Sure. So a little bit about the book. It's my autobiography, but through poems. And so basically, I talk about my life, but volume one is my life through significant loves. And so I talk about my childhood. How did I grow to develop my sense of how I love? And then from that chapter on, I talk about significant relationships and my life through the stages of those significant relationships. And so to specifically answer your question, what I hope readers can take away is kind of therapeutic themes throughout the book. Like, for example, I was previously married, and I talk about going to therapy and how did I go through the divorce process and what was kind of some of the therapeutic gems that my therapist gave me to get me through that hard time. And so I try to share my life in a poetic way to tell people my story. But after each poem, I'd explain the historical aspect of the poem and also kind of therapeutic things that I've learned through my experiences, so people hopefully won't make the same mistakes that I've made, but also enjoy some of my poetic pieces.
Absolutely. And for those that may follow you on like social media, I know you're big on traveling and living, these different cultural and lifestyle experiences. How has
Yeah.
traveling influenced you or inspired you in your work?
I would say traveling gave me a lot more words and a lot more ideas and experiences. And as it relates directly to Verses of Life, for the last 3 or 4 years, I've traveled extensively to Mexico. And my last two significant loves, my current one and my ex, are Mexican. And so you would start to see Spanglish in the book. And then there's also 2 poems that are completely in Spanish. And so travel has definitely influenced my outlook on the world and my sense of identity, but also kind of have opened up my mind to a lot more ideas and kind of things that I'm willing to do. And it's just always good to kind of understand how other people are living, and it makes you grateful for different things that you have in your life, but it also give you ideas about what do you want to incorporate in your life, or what do you like about other cultures. Definitely food. It's always fun traveling and eating some delicious food.
Absolutely. I think that's one of my favorite things when it comes to traveling, just trying different restaurants and like
Yeah.
different coffee shops and things of that nature. Here on our platform, we talk a lot about a wide variety of topics, ranging from, like you said, mental health to
Mhm.
kind of those stories that impact our audience and our communities. But sometimes it's easier to go the opposite direction completely instead of having those conversations. So for those that may be watching, when it comes to mental health and, that work-life balance, if there's anybody out there that is struggling with mental health, what advice would you give to them, or how can they find an outlet that works best for them in order to, navigate their thoughts and feelings?
Well, I always tell people definitely seek out therapy. But if that is something that is either a financial barrier or something that you aren't willing to do right away, definitely lean on your network and definitely be expressive of how you feel. One thing that I've noticed about mental health and experiences I've had with different loves or different people in my life that struggle with their mental health is often people feel alone and by themselves. And sometimes they feel like, all right, I'm going through this experience alone and I can't get through it, or I feel embarrassed to talk about it. And I just want everyone to know that's struggling, don't feel embarrassed, lean on your circle and be very expressive of what you need, because people around you who love you want to see you succeed and want you to be your best self. And so I would say definitely be expressive, because when you start to talk it through, maybe you learn, like whether it's anxiousness, for example, and you start to talk it through, maybe you learn, why am I anxious? And then you figure out what your trigger is, and then you can hopefully develop tools to kind of, when you're anxious, to bring yourself out of that, for example. And so it's really good to be very expressive and kind of talk to those things and just don't sit in it alone.
Absolutely. And I want to take just a moment. I forgot to mention earlier that those that are watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch, you guys can also interact with us during the live stream. So really quick, I just want to pop up some comments that we have. Renee is checking in. She says hello. She was agreeing with you at one point and said exactly. And she also said that that's why I seek counseling. So I think, like you said, those triggers are extremely real, and to be able to use, to have an outlet, whether it is therapy or journaling or yoga or meditation, just some of the tools and resources that we can use to our benefit. I think it's so important to have those conversations. So I want to know from the very beginning, when in that moment in your life were you like, I want to be an author, I want to write a book, this is what I want to do, this is part of my purpose?
Yeah, I kind of was leaning on earlier, I always have kind of been poetic, and I often find myself more expressive of my thoughts and how I communicate with people through written words than verbal. And so a lot of times in relationships or at work or in different situations, when I really want to get across exactly how I'm feeling down to the detail, sometimes I would kind of go mute and feel like I can't be expressive verbally. And so I take pen to paper. But really, the idea of wanting a book has been something that has always been in the back of my mind. I've always wanted to write an autobiography. I've always thought my life was kind of interesting, and definitely with the travels, I've always felt like, I think I might have something to say and share with the world. But every time I sat down to write my autobiography, I've always either felt like I was too young. Like I think I started my first draft at 22, and I was like, seriously, what am I writing about an autobiography? And each time I picked it up, I just kept putting it down and couldn't find all the words I was looking for. And then it was really this year when I was laying in bed and was thinking about some things and had a thought about one poem, and that poem turned into a few poems that week, is when I thought I can write an autobiography by expressing myself in different situations through poems, and then kind of explain to people, what does that poem mean? What happened with that particular life event? And from there, it kind of just flowed. After 20, 30 poems, I was like, I know I'm onto something. And I was talking it over with my family. Shout out to my father, who pushed me to set a deadline and told me, like, you can do this, son. And if you set a deadline, I know that you get it done. And so we talked about what was a realistic deadline. And I gave myself a deadline of 3 months. And 3 months later, I had this huge book and just got it done. And so it really has just been something that's been in the back of my mind, but really came into fruition this year. And I've worked on it from a span of May until about the end of September.
Wow, and like you said, go ahead and show the audience that how thick and big the book is, because I've read over the digital copy, of course, but
Yeah.
I think it's important to mention that it's not actually an extremely lengthy read because, like you said, it's not like it's poems, so
Yeah.
it's not massive amounts of chapters on chapters. What is something that I want to know is like what has been the biggest challenge as a writer? Whether it was a challenge that you've overcome during the writing process, or even when it comes to like the publishing process.
The publishing process for me is all new. I'm the first time publisher and writer. And so trying to navigate to figure out what platform to use, what to do. And in this very moment, I'm still learning new things and having to pivot. And so one of the things that I wish I had done, but it was really important to me at the time to meet my particular deadline, was, had I not had such a tight deadline, give myself grace in 3 or 4 more months and entertain various different publishing ideas and really understood the different venues that you can go through with publishing, because it can get complicated, but at the same time, now that I've been through it, it's also simple, but there's just so many options. And so that was definitely a barrier, not knowing and trying to figure that out and lean on my network. And so I would say, don't rush the publishing process. But other than that, the writing just was fluid. It just kept coming out. I was not getting much sleep because, as you see, it was a lot of pages in a short amount of time. But I would say a second barrier was once I finished the book, trying to just learning how to put everything in order and how do you like tell a seamless, fluid story. Because I didn't write it in any particular order. And so after about 50 poems, I found a program called Scriver, which helped me kind of add a bunch of different labels and tags and kind of be able to, once I was done writing, be able to figure out like, how do I want to move all this data around? What order do I want to put things in? And what's the best flow? And so that was a barrier and took a while to kind of having to sit down and keep reading through it and to make sure that things made sense.
Absolutely. And like you said, like the organization and the structure of where, where you're going to insert certain themes and topics and ideas and experiences. So the question that a lot of people want to know, and I want to know, is what's next for you? Are you currently working on a second book? Do we have plans or any projects forthcoming from now into 2025 that you can share with us?
Sure. I actually am working on 2 or 3 more books. When I was writing this, I already started writing my second and third book. I just couldn't stop, and I actually had to make myself stop writing so I could focus on publishing process. But when I started this book, I focused on my life through significant loves. And I'm a dynamic person, and I am more than just my relationships. And so, or at least my love relationships. And so book 2, I want to touch on kind of my life through my family and other relationships throughout my life and kind of do a similar format as the first volume of Verses of Life. And then I've also, like you touched on earlier, I have such a passion for travel, and I've traveled pretty extensively. I've been about 65 countries. And so another volume would be my life through my travels and be able to pay homage to the places I've been, the experiences I've had, and kind of talk about some of those places. And so that's kind of the trilogy of life. But also, as you've probably seen from my social media, I love quotes and I love being inspirational. And I have this thing to where every morning I text about 100 people on my phone an inspiration quote. And as of recent, since I've published this book, I've been sharing inspiration quotes on my Verses of Life book Instagram. And so I have a project that I'm working on where I want to release 2 or 3 quote books. And then also with this book, I want to put it in Audible, and I also want to have it translated to Spanish. So my new adopted Mexican community will be able to kind of share in my experiences as well. Definitely since Mexico City and my Mexican lovers and just my different experiences while being in Mexico a lot is also featured quite a bit in this book.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up today's interview, how do you think readers can use the Verses of Life as a tool for self-reflection or growth? I know we hinted at it a little bit previously.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's a lot of different therapeutic gems, and I touch on all kind of things. I touch on grief. I touch on the happy aspects of love. I touch on mental health. I touch on under mental health, anxiety, in the gambit of different mental health struggles. I touch on addiction, drugs, travels. So this is a book that will make you cry, make you laugh, or just make you think and be reflective of, do I find myself in that situation at this point in Malcolm's life? And I always, after each poem, try to put what I learned through my therapeutic process, or put different things that my therapist told me I should do in those kind of situations, so people can kind of learn what I learned in those experiences. And like I said earlier, hopefully either avoid it, or if they find themselves in that situation now, can have some gems that can help them through that.
Absolutely. And lastly, if you could invite your readers to take one action after reading your book, what would it be?
Call me and tell me about it. Drop me a line, drop me a DM. I am seeking and eager for interaction and hear what you have to say and hear what did you learn or what you gained from the experience. That's then like the biggest excitement with the release is waiting for that aspect. And I've had quite a few people who have finished the book already. And so those kind of discussions has been fun. And so please interact with me.
Absolutely. And Malcolm Alexander Neal, before you get out of here, are you down to play a quick game of rapid fire questions?
Sure.
All right. All right. So first question, what is your favorite holiday tradition?
Oh, this is a good one. For Christmas, I actually love putting together gingerbread houses. And real quick, I shipped some from the United States to Mexico, but Mexican customs just detained them today and shipped them back. And so I had to go on Market Libre here in Mexico, which is like the Amazon equivalent, to hurry up and buy some more, because I'm going to be spending Christmas with my future in-laws here in Mexico. And so I want to introduce them that tradition.
Awesome. Well, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and your family. And then my next question, if you weren't an author, what career could you see yourself in?
Well, other than me being an author, I'm also an accountant. And so I just love numbers and always have. And so I spent the first 10 to 15 years of my career doing that. But as of late, what kind of also helped propel me into being an author is I changed parts of my job to where I had to write a lot more and send out a lot of notices and news publications. And that just has really got the writing juices thinking. And so I guess I've always loved writing and didn't know.
Absolutely. And then what's the most inspiring place you've ever traveled to?
Ooh, that's hard. That's almost too hard. So I'm going to say the easy thing, Mexico, because it's so biodiverse and there's some of everything in Mexico. You want to go somewhere that look like Bali or Thailand or Arizona to go see the Grand Canyon. All of that is here in Mexico. You can see and do some of everything. And plus, I love Latin culture and I love language learning. And so I get to practice Spanish here. So Mexico.
Okay. All right. I have Arizona is on my list, so I want to visit Arizona. I haven't visited Mexico either, so I might have to add Mexico to my list. Coffee or tea while writing?
Coffee. A lot of coffee. Latte, hot coffee, everything. There's a lot of coffee.
That was gonna be my follow-up. As a coffee lover, I was gonna say, do you like it straight or like extra sugar, creamer, the flavors?
So I've been on a diet for the last year and a half, so I will put a little bit of cream, but Splenda. I'm a Splenda, a little bit of cream, and then I do it hot or cold, just depending on how I'm feeling and how tired I am. I'm really tired. I need hot coffee. But if I'm like just leisurely writing, then I have a latte.
Okay. And then, so I'm a big reader myself. So what's a book that you've read recently that left a lasting impression on you?
That is hard. But Michelle Obama just came out with well, she just came out with a book real recently, but her last book I recently reread, and I just like how inspirational she is. And so I reread that, and I was just having a little down moment, and having somebody talk about light and putting out positive things about her journey and therapy and just finding the light really just made me happy and put me in a happy place. And so I reread that. And so if people haven't read it, I would say pick up Michelle Obama's Finding the Light. It's a great read.
Absolutely. And then my last question, what is one word that you would use to describe Verses of Life?
Colorful.
Absolutely. And Malcolm Alexander Neal, thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead and let everybody know once again where they can find you on social media, where they can pick up a copy of Verses of Life, the book, and let
Sure.
everybody know where to find you at.
Sure. Thank you. So my website is versusoflifebook.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram at Versus of Life Book. I'm on Facebook at Versus of Life Book. And you can find Versus of Life through Chapters of Love on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and anywhere there where books are sold online. You can just type it in, Google it, and it'll pop up and you can purchase it.
Absolutely. Malcolm Alexander Neal, thank you so much again for joining us. Make sure you all go purchase your copy of his book if you haven't already. That book, once again, is called Verses of Life. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the upcoming new year has in store for you. And hopefully we can have you again on our platform to talk about more projects and book releases in the near future.
Thank you. I look forward to it. Thank you for having me, and good evening, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. Once again, you all are watching at Ty's Take Today Live. Be sure to follow our last guest on Instagram at versusoflifebook.com. And then, of course, be sure to learn more about the book at versusoflifebook.com. We are going to take a quick couple of seconds to get ready for our next guest. If you're joining us, let us know where you're watching from. We're currently live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. So go ahead and drop us some comments. I know Renee was checking in with us earlier. So shout outs to Renee for stopping by, and you all can interact with us during the live conversation as well. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next guest, who is a music artist, a songwriter, producer. Welcome to the stage, Aaron Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today.
What's going on? Can you hear me well?
Yes. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I want to go ahead and jump right in. Go ahead and share with our audience a little bit about yourself and what really truly inspired you to pursue a career in music.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I go by the name of Aaron Thomas. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 34 years old. Ooh, I'm getting up there. I had to think about my age for a second. I've been singing literally my whole life. Grew up, basically I grew up without my birth parents. I talk about it all the time. My aunt basically raised me and she's like, you know what, you're gonna be a star at the age of 3. I remember it. And ever since then, she had me in everything. I grew up singing in the church. I was always in all the singing competitions. I did American Idol, Sunday's Best. I recently did The Voice a couple years ago. What else? And then I learned that writing and producing was the thing on these shows. As far as my solo stuff, I've been doing this for years. I'm from the gospel world, but I'm also from the R&B and pop world as well. Being under the wings of Adam Blackstone and the Temptations and so many greats, it basically told me that I could be multifaceted. And I could literally do anything. I've been in groups, I've been all types of stuff. And I travel across the US performing and doing my thing. And I have a couple albums out. I sold over 500,000 records independently. I've been signed to labels before, so I'm pretty much kind of legendary independently, if that makes any sense. So those of y'all that don't know me, I might have seen me from those type of shows. Also, it's another show I was on called the Dorinda Clark Cole Show. I did something on, it used to be called the Word Network. I used to did something called Gospel Focus. And I also got founded by Showtime at the Apollo. So I have a long credential list, but yeah, you may have seen my face or heard my music somewhere.
Absolutely. And what moments in your career so far? I know you hinted at wide variety or a wide list rather of experiences. But what moments in your career specifically have been the most rewarding thus far?
I would have to say just my impact. Being able to travel and just see people that know me for my music and not no junk on the internet. I bump into supporters and fans all the time, whether it's at the airport or if I'm going to the mall or stuff like that. That right there, knowing that people resonate with my music, because that's literally what I'm here for in this earth. Like that's my destiny and purpose. Like I feel like I'm not here for no other reason but that. To impact the world through my music and my life stories. So a lot of my music, I talk about my life stories as well, whether it's struggles, whether it's pain, whether it's celebration, whether it's something lifestyle wise, whether it's inspiration that I got from a friend or a life experience. People seem to resonate with that. So I think that's my most rewarding, to know that over the 20 years plus in the industry, that my music still has longevity.
Absolutely. And what are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned or obstacles that you have overcome thus far when it comes to being a independent music artist?
Definitely. I feel like never giving up, not being afraid of taking chances. I think for a while, the way I grew up, I kind of was sheltered. So I was always like had this conviction, or I always had this limitation where some opportunities or some experiences I wouldn't allow myself to be able to experience. So I say to anybody out there, just be authentic and trust yourself. I think trusting yourself has to do with what makes sense. A lot of times we go with our gut all the time, or we go with emotional feelings and stuff like that. But I think the best way to do it is think about your destiny and purpose and what aligns with that.
Absolutely. And I know you said that from Philadelphia, correct?
Hmm.
So, that being said, what sets you apart from other music artists and what makes you as a music artist different than, say, other artists that are out there doing their thing as well?
Definitely. I feel like everybody tries to compare themselves to different artists. I have inspirations like Brandy, Chris Brown, Omarion, Tank, Jasmine Sullivan. I have so many inspirations. But I feel like I'm not afraid to how can I say it? I'm not afraid to experiment with my voice. I don't just do R&B. I don't just do pop. I don't just do Christian music. I can do opera. I can do classical EDM. I have so many plethora of um, genres and experience and technique that make me stand out from the funeral. Also, I'm really heavy on energy. And literally, when I walk in a room, I try to make sure that my love pours in anywhere I go. So when you see me, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel the vibrations of that. So I think it exudes in person, but it also exudes through my music. And I feel like that's what makes me different from the rest. And also, I'm very business savvy as well. I know a lot about the business, and it also intimidates a lot of people in the industry. So I know about paperwork. I know about how our artist is supposed to get paid, the 5 to 10 ways that an artist is supposed to get paid, and some people don't like that in the industry. So I think that makes me stand out from most artists.
Absolutely. And what are some of your goals for 2025, both personally and professionally, as we're
Uh,
quickly approaching the holidays in the new year already?
I have so many goals. I just feel like I've experienced so many things over this past course of 2 years, I guess, when it comes to dating and stuff like that. And I realized that I don't need love. I realize that I am love. And the people that need that, they need that from me. And especially with energy. Like I'm just real heavy on what makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times we try to go with social media and the society and the ways of that and learn how to create those type of standards. But you have to have a standard for yourself. So I feel like for this past 2 years, I'm just grinding and hustling. I live in Atlanta now, so I have different type of responsibilities now, financially and just also goal wise. So my goals or my expectations may not be somebody else's expectations. Nonetheless, I'm getting lost. I always get lost in these questions. But 2025, I choose to put myself first, number one. Number two, I want to just basically finish a lot of the goals that I started. Sometimes I put stuff to the side and stuff like that because sometimes I feel like my visions are too big for people. But I learned that as long as you stay consistent, that's the key that's going to create the success for what you need. Um, so 2025, what I first want to start with is starting something monthly called A Night with Aaron Thomas. And it's basically a concert series. It's not really a tour, but it is a tour. It's just going to be one city a month. that I want to just basically do something intimate with my fans and supporters with live bands. So basically just going down memory lane with my songs fused with some cover songs. Number two, I also want to tap into my acting bag. That's one thing I've been sitting on for a long time, and I had such personality, and it took me a while to kind of open up and learn how to master myself to be able to initiate that technique and talent. There's so many things. I definitely plan on dating again. I plan on having a family. I never had a pet before. I know this is random. I never had a pet before. I'm thinking about getting a little dog. What else? I definitely want to travel more outside of the country. I know this country is crazy right now with the presidency and all that type of stuff, but I still feel like, there's still hope and you can still live your life to the fullest. So I want to do a little bit of that. And I also plan to make my first $1 million 2025. So it's a lot of goals, but that's just my top 5.
Absolutely, a list of goals, manifesting all of those. I know you just recently dropped a new Christmas single. So what do you say we go ahead and take a moment to premiere that single here on the show, and then we'll come back and we'll continue our conversation.
Yeah, for sure. This is Christmas Time Again by me, Aaron Thomas. Let's go.
Damn, you look so good under the mistletoe. I got my wish, baby, you're my Christmas gift. Dancing with the lights, falling from the sky, the fireplace, and I wanna hold you all through the night. It feels so right. Oh, how I love Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Oh, Santa really knew what he was doing. This time I love him. So glad that I got you. It's Christmas time again. I wanna spoil you and give you what you need, babe. This time I love you. It's that time again. Caressing you to keep you warm. Baby, it's cold outside. So magical, enchanting, oh. Me in my life. We're dancing with the lights, falling from the sky, the fireplace tonight. Wanna hold you all through the night. It feels so right. Why I love Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Oh yeah, Santa really knew what he was doing. Whoa, I'm glad, so very glad that I've got you. It's Christmas time again. Spoil you and give you what you need, babe. This time I love you. It's that time again. Ooh. Christmas time again. Me and you, us two. Forever.
Just heard Aaron Thomas's latest holiday single called Christmas Time Again, premiering right here on Ty's Take today. Welcome back, Aaron, and congratulations on the single. I want to talk a little bit more about the single, which our audience just heard, and what inspired you, and what is the true inspiration behind the song?
Definitely. It's crazy. I had such a good song a couple years ago that I dropped. I think it was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. 2019. Yeah, 2019 called oh God, I went blank again. Alone This Christmas. Thank you. I'm sorry. Alone This Christmas, I dropped a song, and I was so afraid to drop another Christmas song after that because I was like, oh God, is this going to top it? But I'm in the point in my career where I feel like I could drop anything and do what I want. But Christmas Time Again was really a conceptual record. I kind of just woke up one day, like 2 weeks ago, and was like, I want to drop a Christmas song. So I wrote it, freestyle a little bit of it. The hook that you hear, it's Christmas time again. This time my love won't end. So I was basically affirming that the next relationship that I get in, that it won't end. And I just wanted to imagine what it was like to have somebody on Christmas. So not only do I want somebody to cater to me, I want to cater to them to make sure they're good as well and feel special, not only on Christmas, but be good and feel good every day of our life. So that's what that song.
Absolutely. A nice upbeat holiday song to listen to, whether you're spending time with the family or in the kitchen cooking Christmas dinner. What message and do you hope that listeners overall take away from the track during the holiday season? And honestly, what advice would you give to anyone out there that may be watching that may be feeling alone this holiday season? Or, I think it's so important. We talk a lot about mental health here on the show, and just the fact that, not everyone's situation or circumstances are the same. And, for some, the holidays are positive and upbeat, while others, maybe living out of state or out of the country from their family and friends and loved ones, or, maybe grieving the loss of loved ones during the holiday season. I think it's just so important to have these types of conversations and to really focus on mental health. What advice or what message do you have for those out there watching?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's all about appreciating what you have now. And even if you have nothing, you're still breathing, which gives you another opportunity to live out and change the situation. I feel like a lot of people that who have lost somebody, like I lost my grandmom, and Christmas has never been the same. You know what I mean? A few years ago. And I know so many friends who have lost parents and stuff like that, or friends or siblings or somebody, a best friend or somebody that's close. I think it's all about honing in. And if you have nobody to love you on Christmas, like love on yourself. And if you don't know what it means to love on yourself, I think it's all about learning that about yourself, reevaluate. A lot of times we don't take the time to reevaluate ourselves. But if you are alone this Christmas, love on yourself. That's okay. And if you do have somebody to love, like I think that's what the focus should be. A lot of people get caught up in the presents and oh dang, I don't got the money to get gifts and stuff like that, or I've disappointed some. Nobody's really disappointed. I think if we focus on the love and what Christmas is all about, Christmas means so many different things to people. But to me, I think it's about appreciating the gift that you are to people. And I think that's what will really set the tone and help a lot of people through this Christmas season.
Absolutely. And I know we just premiered the single, and it's available currently on YouTube, Spotify, correct?
Yes, it's available everywhere. And shout out to 22 Recordings, AJ, for distributing the record. I wrote it, and oh god, I'm forgetting the producer name. I want to shout the producer name out too because he's amazing. I don't normally let people produce for me. Let me see if I can find a producer name because I want to definitely shout him out. I know we don't have that much time. Let's see here if I can find a producer's name. It's here, guys. Shout out to. Okay, it's too many. But the producer, you'll see the producer in the credits. I forgot his name. But I met him on the internet. He's really dope, and I look forward to doing some more work with him. But yeah, y'all can stream it up. Feel free to buy it, purchase it. Us indie artists, we don't really make money off music no more, but I want people to just enjoy. Hopefully you can add it to your holiday playlist, and I hope that you love it.
Absolutely. And I know you gave us a little preview. Every time we have a music guest, I always try to get them to sing even just a little bit for us live. So if you're down, you would be the first one this season too. But I don't want to put too much pressure on you.
Oh yeah. You want me to sing that song specifically?
It can be any holiday song, and it's completely up to you.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Oh, it's been said many times, many ways. Merry Christmas to you.
There you guys go. Just a little sample of the creativeness behind Aaron Thomas. So once again, people can find you on Instagram. I know we have your Instagram, so I want to go ahead and share that.
Everywhere, Aaron Thomas 215. My website will be live next week, AaronThomasWorld.com, where you'll get exclusive updates. You can buy some merch. I got my hoodie on today. It's just an Aaron Thomas hoodie, but I got a lot of different type of stuff on there, mugs and Stanley cups, all types of stuff. So look forward to that, AaronThomasWorld.com. But you can find me everywhere. You could Google me at Aaron Thomas 215. And yeah, a lot of fun things. Instagram is my main source if you want to connect. My link is always in my bio. It's always some fun stuff going on. I have interviews on there from the Stella Awards, Rolling Out Magazine. I have so many different things on there if you want to check that out. But I'm outside. Look forward to a lot of artists that you'll see music dropping next year. It's an artist named Leandra Johnson, Tyrese, Glenn Lewis, Kenny Lattimore, so many more artists you'll be hearing that I wrote and produced for soon. So I'm excited. 2025 is going up, Ty.
Absolutely, completely excited. And I just want to say thank you again so much for giving us a little part of your day to showcase your talents and share just a glimpse of your journey. Before we go, and if you're down to play the last interview we did a quick like rapid fire Q&A game if you're down. And then awesome. And then I also want, if there's anything else you'd like us to share or any message you have to the fans that have been supporting you throughout your journey, the floor is yours.
Yeah, shout out to everybody. I love everybody. And I want people to know that. I want to let people know that there's only one you. You are the evidence that you are going to be great. You are the evidence that you're going to become something. You are the evidence that you will excel. You are the evidence that you will evolve and succeed. So all my supporters out there, I thank everybody for streaming my music, whether it's hundreds of streams for the week, whether it's thousands of streams for the week. I think anybody that picks up their phone or picks up the device and headphones and plays my music, man, like I feel the energy every time somebody plays my music. I feel it when I see the stats and where it's from and who's listening, and it's people from all over the world. So I'm just grateful that my music impacts, and I just hope that it continues to heal you. I hope that it continues to inspire you and motivate you, because there's so much stuff going on in the world, but music heals and music helps. And what else? Be good to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't let temporary situations determine your life. You know what I'm saying? I want people to know that. Like, it's all about the future. Live in the moment, but also plan for the future and make sure you're living out for the future, because there's so much more for you. So much more in store.
Absolutely. Aaron Thomas dropping gems here on Ties Take today. All right, so our quick rapid fire questions. What is your favorite holiday tradition?
Oh my God. I don't have a tradition, but I will say I love spending time with family, and I love my mom's macaroni and cheese. Like, I have to have that, period. I had to have that Christmas time. That's really about it. I wouldn't call it a tradition, though. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just love the holiday spirit just in general. And
I feel you,
holiday.
especially when it comes to mac and cheese. My boyfriend makes the best greens. So like having the first time, and like we're going back to Detroit to visit my mom for the holidays, and we're making greens at her house. Like, we're gonna go all out. So I'm excited to cook something up in the kitchen. I'm more like a sous chef. I'm not a chef, but like I'll be in the kitchen with you for moral support. And I'll definitely taste test and eat
the things that I like, and that's about it. But she won't let me cook nothing, so I'm with you on that.
But other than that, I am not cooking. What is the least favorite gift that you've ever received?
Oh my gosh, I think my mom bought me some thermals one time. I know that sounds ungrateful, but that was my least favorite gift, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right, so then I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna ask, what is the best gift that you've ever gave someone else?
That's a good question. I have to go back in time. What is the best gift I gave someone else? I don't know. I'm expensive. I guess the best gift would be, because my family, they don't be wanting much. I guess a game system for my brother. I think it was like an Xbox or something like that.
Okay, nice. And then if you could collaborate with any artists that are alive, who would it be?
Dead, Whitney Houston. Alive, it's an artist named Brandy Norwood. I would love to do a song with her. One of my favorite artists.
Absolutely. And then lastly, if you weren't a music artist or a songwriter and producer, what career could you see yourself in?
I would be a wrestler or a basketball player, because that's who I really, really wanted to be when I was growing up. I know that's random, right? Yes, I loved it. I love wrestling. I was a hard ass. Like, I love to fight, and I love sports.
All right, this has been a quick edition of Rapid Fire. Aaron Thomas, thank you so much again for joining us, and I hope to have you on again to talk about future projects and current, maybe a holiday release every year forthcoming?
Hey, I might drop a whole album next year. I'm inspired by Jennifer Hudson, Mariah Carey, and all the people that go strong with the Christmas music. So I'm inspired. Hmm. Could be coming soon.
Absolutely. Y'all heard it here. As soon as we get an update, we'll let you guys know as well. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to follow Aaron on Instagram at Aaron Thomas 215. And then, like I said, thank you again so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me. This was dope. I look forward to staying connected.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays. Once again, this has been Ty's Take Today Live. I want to thank all of our guests today. Once again, you guys just heard our conversation with music artist Aaron Thomas. Be sure to check him out and follow him on Instagram. We also premiered his holiday single called Christmas Time Again. Also, shout outs to our first guest of the evening, author Malcolm Neal. Be sure to go ahead and support and purchase his book, which is called Verses of Life, which is available on Amazon. And real quick, you already know I'm going to give you all where to find us. If you are a creative, a music artist, or you have a business, we would love to showcase your story, your journey, and spotlight your business or your creative talents here on our platform. Once again, this is Ty's Take Today Live. We do it each and every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I just want to say thank you all to our takers who have graciously supported us, followed us on all the different social media platforms, and that have been following me in my journey for several years. And I'm just so grateful. And we have a whole bunch more interviews in store for you all. So that being said, thank you for being a part of the Taker family. And if you have a story or you want to be on the show, you can send us a DM on Instagram at It's Ty's Take Today. You can email us at Ty's Take Today podcast at gmail.com. And like I said, we're always streaming every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So be sure to check us out on all of those social media platforms. Once again, I'm going to pop up our social medias on the screen. Instagram at It's Ty's Take Today. Facebook.com at It's Ty's Take Today. I'm telling y'all, we keep it as simple as possible because there's so many social media sites. YouTube.com as well / at It's Ty's Take Today. Be sure to tap that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our lives, our pre-recorded interviews, and just overall any content related to Ty's Take Today. So that being said, if you would like to join us back right here at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, we will see you then. We have a lot of episodes and interviews coming up, so be sure to stay tuned. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great rest of your evening. You're watching Ty's Take Today Live with your host, Tyler Belts.